The client didn't want it to be, one of those typical mansion looking kind of a place. The context wise, it's a pretty rural area. You would probably see a lot of green around. It's not a huge road that leads to the site, so it's sort of a bit of an unexpected house in such a locality. But that was the purpose also. It's a 35-cent plot. Client is a self-made entrepreneur, established so much himself at such a young age. He would probably even go on to build more houses. So this is his first statement houses that he's building. He wanted a certain sense of taste or sort of a refinement to come into the design, but at the same time it shouldn't be too simple at the first glance as well. You have your site outlined like this, and your main access road goes in the front. It's probably some 4 or 5 meters at maximum, like in some places, and mostly it is just about 3.5 meters width for the site. Rear end of the site is your north side. So ideally, based on your Kerala Vastu principle, you would generally prefer having your master bedroom and all towards southwest corner. Kerala climate, your natural wind flow comes from this side. So primarily you want wind to go into the house from there, as in this side is your west. So your harsh sunlight comes from there. So we don't have too many direct, even your bedroom windows that have been given there, we have tried to give a lowered opening to that so that you cut off the direct light. Another crucial aspect of the site, and probably one of the most defining aspect of the site, is that it is sloping completely backwards. So you have your contours going this way pretty much evenly. So the site is sloping. If I am drawing a section, the site is continuously sloping backwards. Primarily, it is when you're zoning the site, this also plays a part, because here you can achieve the sense of privacy with your heights and how you place the blocks as well. This is your road level, and this one ramp brings you down to this level. So this is your primary yard level from where you enter the house. The sit out and your formal living is at this level. Then you climb down further to reach the main level of the house, and this is where your family living is happening. And this entry is your secondary entry for the house. Go half a floor down from there, you reach your 2 bedrooms here. This is 1, 2, and in half a floor above you have the other 3, 4 bedrooms, and half a floor above from there you have your 5th and the master bedroom as well as your home theatre. So that is the basic block of the house, and in the dotted lines, which was the existing natural profile of the land, so we very minimally cut and fill to that. There is often this misconception that if it's a contoured site, it is hard to build. So we basically feel if it's a contoured site, automatically if you solve the contours, that itself will give you a very nice design output. Public zoning, probably we were thinking we can have in the front, because this is the area with the maximum vision from the public kitchens, and also since the road is at a higher level, they can actually look into the house. And then probably your semi-public spaces here, which is probably your family core activity spaces and things like that, and then your most private zone will be here. This is your yard level, and this is the ramp which takes you to the second level, and then you have another ramp which takes you to the garage level. So from this yard level you have these 2 long granite clad walls, which is the proposed guest entry. So we sort of wanted to create that drama for the space. When you reach the interior, it opens up completely. This entire area is an open space, and it has a skylit area here, which acts as a light well that makes sure that even though the house is deep and it's a deep layout, the light gets to all evenly. Somebody who's entering this house probably assumes that they are coming down. They probably wouldn't expect it have such an open space. We wanted to create that dramatic entry. That's like how you want people to perceive a space in with multiple senses and not just vision. So I think this entire core is the main, life of the house. This is the light well which I told earlier about, which brings in that sense of aliveness to the space. And on top of that, this is all diffuse light, so you don't have any harsh lighting coming in throughout the day. And at the same time, you do have very well lit interiors. I don't think they need to switch on the lights till it is pretty dark outside. Entry which is being used by the client will take couple of steps to reach all the levels, and from this main level and the dining space, you have an open balcony which sort of opens into the pool below. So it adds more drama to the space, since you have that connectivity, and somebody who's coming probably wouldn't feel that there is a floor below when you're entering the house. Reach the topmost floor, which houses the master bedroom. So the master bedroom is slightly bigger than the other bedrooms, and it has a balcony. The client wanted a vision to the main entrance from there. The grid that remains basically becomes the home theatre on the top floor. So this is probably the floor which the client uses as a relaxed time. He wanted to be the topmost floor since the entire family is here. If he wants to cut off also a little bit, he wants to stay by himself and work, or even enjoy a movie by himself, so he can probably use this floor, because that floor is corely designed with his preferences and requirements in mind. It's always important to understand where the client is coming from. Try to read more than what they're saying, because then only you could be able to give out a design, or give out a concept that suits them perfectly. As architects, our philosophy is always not to establish whatever our style is onto a client's vision. Rather than that, we always try to absorb what the client is wishing for and then put it out in a way that fits into our philosophy as well. Coming to the material palette that we used for the project, I think whatever material we use, its natural character is being expressed in its full glory. It started whistling a bit, and you have that feeling here, and I'm standing right here and I'm not getting wet, right? It adds dynamism to the interiors. Then on top of that, how we accentuate it with slightly more sophisticated touches, probably with the use of wood. You have that texture so that you can feel the grains of the wood or the rough edges of the wood. Even the dining table, it's like a wooden log kept on top of it. It's a very raw way of expressing your furniture through wood, but at the same time, it does add sophistication to the space. For such a house especially, and the kind of warmth that these people have, we wanted to add that sense of character to the space, and that is probably what drove our material choices. And so the wood, the darker tones of the wood, how it sits with the rustic material, stone finishes and all of that, is how that warmth is brought in. Basically, we wanted to make sure only one point was supposed to be the actual axis of the water body, and people shouldn't just automatically step onto the water. So we need to make sure some sort of partitions are kept around the water body to prevent such falling over or things like that. So we used these kind of planters, or a very light console there which has a few artifacts kept on top of that. Things like that automatically gives people that sense of guidance where the water body is, like without visually compromising too much or becoming a very block element that cuts off light or becomes a solid partition between the two. So such sort of semi-covered partitions, even if you bring in a partition element, we feel it will become too heavy. So that's why we introduce this very light for consoles and planters and all of that to add a sense of divide to these spaces. Anywhere in the house, probably colors how we expected is with the fabric. So we told them initially we won't go for colors. Later on, if you want to have as you can see, the kids are playing around. So color, basically why we don't always introduce a color in the beginning is because we feel if we introduce a color in the beginning, that sort of limits how the space can evolve over time. Right, so fabric or for upholstery, things like that, colors can be brought in later also. So even if you're starting off as a neutral palette, whenever the residents feel like they have lived in the same feel, as they want a freshness to the interiors, you can easily add those accents with your fabric or things like that. So all of your walls, your ceilings, the materials palette, everything is basically neutral tones. So stones, grey finishes, wooden finishes, and just that. So the plastered walls are all white. The risers empty is because it's not just for the aesthetic. If we probably just imagine if the stairs were blocked here, when you stand on the floor below, it will be entirely cut off and it would have been a much darker space. This feels very light on the eye, and because when you look at it, none of the spaces are too big. All of these are very normal size spaces that are tied together through open corridors, and so the stair is an important corridor that connects you vertically. All of these spaces are open, right? So, but still we wanted to make sure each space felt slightly defined but still stays connected. So what we've done here is we've used leather black granites for the individual spaces, and we've used these leather finished Kota stones, natural Kota stones, as the circulation space. Because it's a house which feels very much in blend with the nature, we didn't want too smooth surfaces, yeah, because then it will feel too polished, and more work has been put into it. So to add to that raw value, we've made sure almost all surfaces are where you can feel the texture, there is grip, you feel more connected, because you would enjoy walking barefoot on such floors, right, than a glossy floor which feels very much structured and designed, and like it's a lot of processing has gone into it, but this feels more natural. So because it's much more rougher flooring on the outside, and the cobble is much more rougher, but when you get into the interior it changes a bit, but it's still not too different. So these are the ways in which we feel we can achieve that connection, but still you can add that needed refinement to the interiors. Because he's an entrepreneur, he always said that he would be spending a lot of time in the house, and now he says he doesn't even go out as much as he used to before. He tends to spend a lot more time at home, and he likes relaxing himself in the house. It's very calming. So as an architect, that is the ultimate compliment you can get, because this house has been built for more than a year now, and we're still in such good terms with the client, means that you have won as an architect.